Well, Happy New Year, my fellow property managers. Welcome to 2026. I hope last year was great for you, like it was for us, and we're stepping into what I believe is going to be, for our industry, the best growth year we've ever seen. And it can be the best growth year. When I say growth, I mean new clients, new doors. We talk all the time about how do we grow, and I've been actually surprised that so many companies last year in 2025 struggled with growth. They struggled with owner-client leads. We had a good year for us last year, and in a minute I'm going to tell you, I think, why we did that, and more importantly, what you can be doing this next year for you to make 2026 a fabulous year for growth, because you have to be doing some things. You have to be proactive, and it really could, and this isn't just some like typical, oh, this is going to be the best year ever. Some years can be hard. I think this will be a fantastic year for growth for us, and it can be for you as well. Two important points, and I'll tell you some action items you need to make sure you're doing to make it impactful for you. Now, let me just share with you. These are not predictions for 2026. They're simply observations about what the market and the industry is doing, and then we position ourselves to take advantage of those opportunities. We want to be opportunistic. That's all this is. It's not rocket science. It's not crystal ball prediction. It's observations. So here's what I observe. Here is a screenshot of a recent Wall Street Journal article from late December, very, very recent. And the article simply said, mortgage rates are falling, but owners still won't sell. Put your head on your chin and scratch it and say, what does that mean for us? Mortgage rates on homes to buy them are falling, but owners still won't sell. The subheadline said nearly 30 million households, or 54% of primary mortgage holders. That's more than half. More than half of all primary mortgage owners have mortgage rates at or below 4%. Okay, now just kind of tuck this away here. Tuck this away. Here's a screenshot of their data, and here's what you need to know. This is the average mortgage rates. There's a lot of people that have less than a 2.5% mortgage rate right now. Here's the 4%, here's the 4%, here's the 5%. Everybody on this side of the graph, which is more than half of all mortgage holders in the United States of America, have a mortgage rate of less than 4%. What does that mean? What does that mean for us? What it means is there's a massive percentage of homeowners who own who own properties they live in right now with crazy low mortgage rates, and they, my friends, are never going to sell because they're never going to want to give up their 2.5 or 3 or 3.5 mortgage. They're never going to want to give it up. Eventually, at some point in time in the next 30 years, that individual is going to have to move. They get a job transfer, their family grows and they need a bigger property, their family shrinks and they need a smaller property. They're going to have to move. And they're going to say, well, gosh, I've got a 2.5% interest rate on this thing. I kind of would just like to hold on to it instead of selling it, simply because of the interest rate. And so what are they going to consider doing when they have to move? They're going to consider calling you or me to turn that property into a rental. So we've got a massive pool, not just for today, but literally for decades, of people who are never going to sell. They're going to convert those properties every single year. A group of them will convert to rentals, convert to rentals, convert to rentals. This is a pool of potential owner clients like our industry has never had, because we had a couple years of crazy low interest rates, and that created a massive pool of people. That is amazing news for you. That is about, other than what I'm about to tell you, that's the second best piece of news for 2026 for you. But here's the best piece of news for 2026 for you. You got that pool of people. Okay, put them aside for a minute, because there are also some people who do need to move out of their property for whatever reason, job transfer, family grows, family shrinks, and they do want to sell. They say, nah, I don't want to rent it out. Maybe my interest rate's over here. I don't have the 2, I've got the 5.5, but I don't want to rent it. I'm just going to sell it. So they put it on the rental, they put it on the sale market. Let me share another recent article. This is from Realtor.com from, again, just a few days ago. This is December 8th. Delistings Delistings surge as frustrated sellers pull back. 3 pandemic boom towns are getting hit the hardest. What does that mean? Delistings surge as frustrated sellers pull back. This means a lot of people are like, I'm going to sell it. They put it on the MLS. They list it for sale. And guess what happens? Nothing. It doesn't sell. So they don't want to rent it though. They don't want to rent it. So they just leave it on there. They leave it on there. They leave it on there. And it doesn't sell and it doesn't sell. And eventually they delist. That word didn't even exist a couple years ago. Delist. What does that mean? You'd put the property on the sale market and it would sell, right? No, now you put the property in the MLS and it doesn't sell to the point that the seller gets so frustrated that they delist. They pull it off the MLS. Let me read this, the sub-headline. I know you probably can't see this. It says, delistings in October jumped nearly 38% compared with a year earlier, again surpassing inventory growth, according to the November 25 monthly housing trends report from Realtor.com. Year to date, delistings are up roughly 45% from the same year from 2024. In June, 6% of all listings had been removed from the market by sellers each month, cementing 2025 as the year with the highest national delistings since they began tracking this metric. Think about that. 6% of all homes on the MLS came off in 2025. 6%. That's a big number. Out of 100 homes, 6 of them, out of 100 homes on the MLS, 6 of them delisted nationally. Now, some markets, I get it, are skewed differently. Here's the next little section there. It said, if you want to know what were the areas that were hit the hardest, Miami was number 1. 45%. Delistings, the highest ratio of delistings to new listings at 45, down from 60. 45 out of every 100 properties listed on the MLS in Miami delisted. 45%, guys. That's wild. My market was number 2. Denver was 37, so 37 out of every 100 new listings delisted. Houston was number 3, 37. 2 California areas, Los Angeles and Riverside, took in number 4 and 5. So this wasn't just one market. Miami to Denver to Houston to California. That's the US, guys. Most markets are going to see more delistings. So remember now, we've got 2 pools of people. We've got pool number 1, which is like, I'm never giving up my 2%. And we've got another pool of people that are like, I don't care about my interest rate, I want to sell, but I can't sell. So the question becomes, what do these 2 pools of people end up doing with the house that they have to move out of? Anybody? Anybody got an answer to this one? Yes. John, in the back. Oh, yeah, that's correct, John. They're going to call you and they're going to call me if we position ourselves properly. One more point of data. This was today in the Wall Street Journal. As I'm getting ready, I'm finishing my morning cup of coffee and my bowl of cereal, getting ready to come down here in my house and record this, reading today's Wall Street Journal. I'm recording this video on Friday, January 2nd, and the headline on the front page of the Wall Street Journal says, condo owners face the worst market since 2012. Condos can't sell. Nationally, nobody is buying condos. And then you get to the second part of the article, and let me just read for you one little quote here. It said, even so, most condo owners, they can't sell. For owners with low mortgage rates or no mortgage, many can cover their costs by renting out the unit instead of selling it, said Zillow's chief economist. Zillow is now saying you can't sell it. Many people are now just renting out these properties. Okay, let me give myself a little pat on the back here. We're not talking about predictions, we're talking about observations. Guys, this has been coming for years. If you've been watching these little videos, I do, and you memorize every one of these I've done, maybe you remember back in June of 2022, where the video we put out to all of you was titled The Return of the Accidental Landlord, because we were seeing this. This wasn't a prediction, we're not that smart, but we were observing that we're starting to get calls from people who would rather sell and they can't sell. And this was a shift we've seen in our industry and in our market, and it's going to continue. What I said in June of 2022 is the door is just opening to this new pool of people, and the door is now wider. It's not as wide as it's going to get, but I think 2026, it's going to get wider, and you and I have a tremendous opportunity to capitalize on these individuals. Now, what does this matter? We need to make sure that we are focused on these individuals and not investors. Investors. We all talk investors. And if you started your business in the last decade, you built your business on the back of investors. Someone bought a house to be an investor, be an investment. Those folks are gone. Okay, for most now I understand every market's a little bit different, but by and large, for every one investor out there, there are now 5, 10, 15 accidental landlords who don't want to sell, but they can't sell, or they do want to sell, but they can't sell, and so they don't want to give up their interest rate, and they're going to be coming to you. So this is shifting. So therefore, we have to be paying attention to this. Now my proof to you, say, well, Mark, why should I believe you? You guys have say you're growing. Let me show you. This is a screenshot out of our property management software, Rentvine, that shows our growth since we moved to Rentvine back in September of 2021, and it's just up and to the right. Okay, every month, what we've been doing for the last couple of years is focusing on these folks, and if you focus on those folks, you can grow. Guys, we're not that smart. We're not that amazing at what we do, but we are opportunistic. And we've recognized this opportunity so that it has led to just growth. I mean, it's not crazy. We're not going crazy with our growth, but we're growing. Every quarter, every month, we're bringing on more than's falling is off the back because we're paying attention to these things and then we're marketing. I'm gonna give you 2 action items on how you can make sure that your growth chart looks like this. But before I do, I want to tell you who printed this out for us. It was our property management software, Rentvine. We switched to Rentvine back in September of 2021. We've been with them for a number of years, and we are very, very happy with the software. Great software. Tenants like it. Our owners like it. My team members like it. If you're thinking of considering changing your software, here's what I would encourage you to do. Rentvine has their 2nd annual users conference coming up in May of 2026. It's going to be in Tampa, Florida. I will be there. If you're not a user of Rentvine, you don't have to be a user to go. Go to their conference, sit through a couple days, listen to them, really get a good sense of what the software is. That will help you make a good determination of whether or not you want to switch over your software, because it's a big decision. I get it. But we are so glad that we did. If you jump on their website, you can find out how to register for their user conference. I hope to see you in Tampa in a few months. Okay, 2 quick action items. We're going long on this video. Number 1, you got to shift your marketing to frustrated sellers. Stop marketing to investors. Start educating and marketing to people who would prefer to sell. You want to see how to do that? Jump on our website, rentgrace.com. We have really shifted that. That's what's led to a lot of the leads coming in to us from those folks. But you've got to be marketing to those folks, educating those folks who would prefer to sell. Secondly, you got to get in front of every real estate agent in town. Who's the first person that knows that that frustrated seller is not going to sell? Who's the first person that frustrated seller talks to say, I don't want to sell it? The agent, their sales agent. If that sales agent knows you and has a relationship with you and can recommend you, that becomes a lead source for you. This is what we've been building up into our pipeline for the last couple of years, and it simply works, guys. Okay, if you want to learn more on how we do this stuff, our next opportunity to come out to my office, visit me and my team for 2 days, is in April. We've got one in January sold out. I just looked before the recording this video. We have 5 spots open. 5 spots still open for our April 2026 Visit Grace event, where we share exactly how we run our business from marketing to hiring and everything in between. Consider jumping out, going on the website. We'd love to have you come out to Denver. Check out our PM Build podcast, Property Management Business Podcast, if you're not listening to that. We do that as well. We just talked about trends for 2026, what to expect. Of course, got our Facebook group and our PM video coaching group as well. This month we talked about what you need to know to potentially manage and step into commercial. We sent that out to our video coaching group there. But jump on the website. I hope that's helpful. I wish you a successful 2026, and I think if you focus on these things, you can have the best year of growth that you've ever had before. Until next time, my friends, I wish you success.